as I got the fire going, it is starting to really get windy, and it is raining. And right now, the rain has died down a tiny bit. But if this continues, the stream is going to be all dunzo. So, in fact, it's the weather's so bad right now that I can't even have the tripod out here. I need to be protecting the camera. So we will give it a little bit and see what happens. But the weather is getting worse and worse right now. I had to put a lid on the fire. It's like a windstorm out here right now with intermittent rain. So my friend called me and they said they have an armoire that they want me to get rid of for them. It came from a cousin who passed away, and ever since they got this armoire, strange things have been happening in the house. For example, when you walk near the armoire, there winds up being a sudden breeze that blows through, knocking whatever's on top of the armoire off and blowing the. Sometimes when you leave the house, the armoire will be closed and fine, and when you come back home, it'll be wide open and everything that was on it, in it, and around it is all knocked over. Hey, Barbara. They're coming to get you, Barbara. And this armoire, they believe, is cursed because just before the cousin died, they moved the armoire into the house. So personally, I don't really want to pick up the armoire and help them out. What do you think I should do? So it's super windy and rainy here now. I had to throw a lid on this fire. It really wants to go bad. Rashami, what's happening? So we're out here at the haunted lake. As I started the fire, the wind picked up and all of a sudden blowing rain everywhere. It's a storm and we're in the middle of nowhere, so if the quality is low, I apologize. Let me know if the image quality improves. But there's a storm coming overhead right now, so it's probably blocking the satellite internet. It seems like it's just windy now and the rain is stopping a little bit, so I'm gonna go get the tripod. Because this is inside the screen house. It's too far from the fire to be enjoyable. What's up, Salway? How are you? Yellow. What's happening? Salway, I'm still alive. Yellow, I could complain, but I'm not going to bore you with the details. I don't think you guys were around when I told the story of the armoire. So my friend has, yes, happy October. It's Samhain time. So my friend called me and she has an armoire that was her cousin's who passed away. And my friend is convinced that this armoire is haunted because every time you walk past the armoire, you feel a gust of wind or items on or near the armoire get knocked over or move. When they leave for the day and they come back home, the armoire was closed, and they get home and the armoire is wide open, everything on the floor. And they're convinced that the last thing the cousin did before the cousin died was move this armoire into their home. So they think it's a cursed armoire and they want me to pick it up. What would you do? Samhain says call the guy from The Conjuring. I think they're dead. I think that was the Warrens, and I think that they have passed away. I think the son's still around, and the son does a podcast. But they also were the owners of the real Annabelle doll. I think their son also runs the museum that has the doll in it. Yeah, it could be. I don't know if the son, if he just does the podcast, or if he actually does anything. I should look into that. That's a good idea. Samhain says, would you ever want to see the real Annabelle? I mean, I've seen it in pictures. I don't know. I'm not somebody that needs to go and see stuff in person. I'm happy with photos or videos. Just like I have no intention of going to Europe, but architecture in Europe. I'm content with the pictures. My friend just went to Paris and was in, what do they call it, the catacombs, where all the skeletons are and all that stuff. And the pictures were good enough for me. I don't need to go there to see it. But maybe that's different for other people. Some people probably want to go see that stuff in person. I personally don't give a shit. I'd rather build my old catacombs. How is the video quality, moderators? All right. Because there's a storm overhead, and so it's probably messed up with the internet. Let me try. Thank you, Joe. Is it better or worse now, though? Yeah, as soon as I started the fire, it was like a perfect evening. I started the fire, and all of a sudden the wind came through and the rain, and now the rain stopped. There's still a steady wind, as you can tell from looking at the fire. All right, well, hopefully the internet quality improved. All right, well, I'm glad it looks better. It's probably not as good as when we do the dolls, but it's the best I can do up here sometimes. It is heavy cloud cover and extremely windy. So depending on how everything goes, the intentions are there'll be a fire stream tonight and tomorrow. Nothing on Wednesday, and then Thursday uh, we'll be working on the yard hunt after I do my shift at the haunted house. But I had to come up here and deal with some stuff. No problemo, yellow. So what do you guys want to talk about? Oh yeah, no, we're not talking about my troubles. I'm not here to bore anybody with that crap. Well, I would love for you guys to share some scary stories. I already shared about the armoire. Samhain, what do you have? Well, I know Yellow likes to smoke, or was it puff, puff, pass? And Samhain is awesome with his stories. I told you guys already about the armoire. And basically, whoa, sorry, Sean. Um, I've pretty much told you guys everything in my arsenal over all the hours and hours of campfires we've had. And I hate to regurgitate and recycle old stories. I like everything to be fresh and new. But I would love for Samhain to share another childhood nightmare. Well, Samhain's working on that, typing it out. Um, I will share something. So when I was a kid, I hadn't seen Night of the Living Dead yet or any of the zombie genre movies, but I did have a reoccurring dream, and the dream was essentially almost like the only way to describe it now that would make sense is it was almost like you're in the Walking Dead universe where society has completely failed. It's a apocalyptic world, and I didn't know why, but people were sick, and we were trying to stay away from them, and they wanted to get to us. And in my dreams, and I was very young, and like I said, this is reoccurring for many years, and it was always very similar. but we were running from these sick people, and they would use any means necessary to keep the sick people away from us. And I have no idea like how that started or why. Hey, pirate clown girl, what's happening? Samhain says, when I was 11, I had a dream where I was in my house and home on the other side of the house. I was sitting on the couch playing on my Nintendo DS. Pirate Clown Girl, if you have a scary story you want to share, you can go ahead and start typing it, and I'll read it. Samhain right now is telling a story. We just have to wait for him to finish typing. So Samhain says, when I was 11, I had a dream where I was in my house on a dark, cloudy day. My dad was the only other person home on the other side of the house. I was sitting on the couch playing with my Nintendo DS. I stopped for a few seconds to look around after hearing a weird noise. Upon looking back at my game, all the enemies became weird and uncanny looking. One even resembled a straw with legs. Samhain continues. I heard another weird noise. I looked up to see a shadowy figure in the corner of the room. Too dark to distinguish any features. Regardless, I got up and ran. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing. Give a thumbs up. Samhain continues. I went to my dad and dragged him with me to the room to show him. When we got there, it was gone, but I saw something on the couch exactly. Samhain continues. It was a Halloween mask. The best way I could describe it was the ghost face mask with realistic human looking skin and blood coming from the eyes and mouth. Well, you can't beat a free mask. So I'm going to start from the beginning. Samhain says, when I was 11, I had a dream where I was in my house on a dark, cloudy day. My dad was the only other person home, and he was on the other side of the house. I was sitting on the couch playing on my Nintendo DS. I stopped for a few seconds to look around after hearing weird noises. Upon looking back at my game, all the enemies became weird and uncanny looking. One even resembled a straw with legs. I heard another weird noise. I looked up to see a shadowy figure in the corner of the room, too dark to distinguish any features. Regardless, I got up and ran. Went to my dad and dragged him with me to the room to show him. When we got there, it was gone, but I saw something on the couch, exactly where I was sitting. It was a Halloween mask. The best way I could describe it was the ghost face mask with realistic human-looking skin and blood coming from the eyes and mouth. It still had a tag on it. Pictures of similar-looking masks were on it. The brand was Demented Visions or something like that. My dad scolded me, believing I stole it. This was around Halloween. But no matter what I told him, he refused to believe me. In retrospect, the creature in my dreams might have been malevolent, but it still scared me at the time. Well, Samhain, thanks for sharing. That was cool. Just drinking my Quick Trip watermelon water. Someone is asking, does anyone else have any stories they want to share? So one other thing, when I was telling you guys earlier about my reoccurring dreams when I was a kid, you can keep going, Samhain. As per the norm, nobody seems to like to share stories except for you and I. But this reoccurring dream when I was a kid, refresher, it's apocalyptic, everybody was sick, and by all means necessary, they were taking steps to keep the sick away from us. And one thing that they taught me I could do was I could fly. So if I was getting approached by one of these things, all of a sudden I could fly. And the feeling from that in the dream was unbelievable. So, and by all means, start typing. But flying is really fucking awesome. Uh, Jello sounds like Red Dawn. Uh, Not really. There were no Russians, and nobody in Red Dawn was sick, and nobody in Red Dawn could fly. Samhain actually had an apocalyptic dream when he was a child as well. Wolverines. Yeah, the original Red Dawn is awesome. The new one sucks. It was way better with the Russians versus the instead of the new one with the Koreans. But that opening scene where they're in the classroom and all the parachutes start dropping and the guys start, the paratroopers start landing, and then uh, they're all by the window, the students, and they're like, "Oh, these guys are way off course." And then the Russians open up on the school. For me, that was frightening, and I never thought that that would become a reality in schools. Only it wasn't the Russians; it was your fellow classmates. Because like at that time when that movie was filmed, like that's completely that's how things were. People actually had shotgun racks in their pickup trucks, and nobody would mess with them, and nobody would even think about bringing it into the school. Samhain says so. Most of humanity got wiped out. I can't remember exactly how, but I think it might have been due to a meteor or something, as that was how I thought the world would end as I was a kid. While Samhain types, I'm gonna go grab a little bit more wood. I'll be right back. Samhain says, so most of humanity got wiped out. I can't remember exactly how, but I think it might have been due to a meteor or something, as that was how I thought the world would end as a kid. I remember being on my own, walking around ruined towns and cities. I remember feeling very sad, wondering where my loved ones and other people were. I also remember wanting to watch Winnie the Pooh, my favorite show at the time, to ease my mind, but I couldn't because there was no more electricity. Jello, thanks for watching the fire for me. I appreciate it. Samhain continues. I also remember wanting to. Oh, forget it. Nothing changed. My bad. So in other news today, I heard, I don't remember what station it was on, but they said cloud seeding and chemtrails are okay because it's good for the environment to cause the rain. But and the groundwater contamination is minimal at this time with the stuff they seed the clouds with. Samhain continues. After a while, I came across a farm with a barn. Inside the barn were huge cattle there. It grew to that size due to overeating with regulation, and one's legs collapsed due to its size and malnutrition. You know, that reminds me, I went to the butcher shop today. I went there to get a big ass tomahawk steak, and they didn't have any. And they're like, why don't you just get a ribeye? And the ribeyes are puny. I'm like, no, I want a big, thick tomahawk. And didn't have any, so I left. Correction noted. Samhain. The cattle grew to that size due to overeating without regulation, and one's legs collapsed due to its size and malnutrition. Samhain continues. After exiting the barn, a generic superhuman type character gently landed in front of me. He was old, skinny, and unkempt. looked like shell shocked as well. Samhain continues. I asked him why he didn't save us. He solemnly said, I tried, but I failed. I believe this really was the end for us all. There's nothing more I can do. He then flew away, and that's the end of Samhain's journey. Well, that's nice and hopeless, buddy. Sorry, guys, it was gross. I'm just coughing up city air. It always happens when I get up here. I have to eradicate the city air from my lungs and suck in this fresh country air. The pine trees and the forest smells. The air here is sweeter. Sawon says I watched way too much Life After People at a young age. It was admittedly an interesting watch, but not one for the easily paranoid. So I was reading something today. I had no idea, and I don't like Jeeps either. But apparently, people that have Jeeps, they stick these ducks on other Jeeps. So apparently, I thought it started a long time ago, but I guess it only started in 2000 during the pandemic. And the chick that came up with it, she died suddenly over the summer. But everywhere I looked, that nobody knows like how this chick mysteriously died so suddenly. Some people say a tragic accident. Other people said it was some kind of ass cancer. Does anybody know? How did the Jeep duck chick die? She was murdered. Tell us more, Jello. because the story I read said natural causes in our house. Murdered is not natural causes. Apparently, she was Canadian, and I read they blamed Trudeau for making her take a poison shot. But every single article said natural causes. Only one like thread said it was ass cancer. And then I did read a story, but or the headline, but it said it was South Africa, so I stopped reading it since it said clearly that this woman was in Canada that started the Jeep duck trend. But the South African person was murdered, stabbed 30 times. But like I said, that's definitely not natural causes, and this all these articles said that the Jeep duck lady was natural causes. She knew too much about rubber ducks. You guys do that? It sounds like somebody is coming through the leaves, but I can clearly see all the leaves around me, and there's nobody here. Jello, what snacks or munchies do you have tonight? Quack, quack. I thought maybe you're snacking on some frog raw. Or duck fat French fries. Or maybe some poutine. Twix and root beer. What kind of root beer? I am a huge fan of root beer. I think I like Sprecher the best. They use honey as the sweetener instead of high fructose corn syrup. Ah, Dad's root beer. I don't know if they sell that here anymore. We used to have it. I think they changed the name of it to something else here. I think they changed the name of it to Mug Root Beer, MUG. But we have Barks, A&W, Mug. I don't remember seeing Dad's in the store for a long time, but I could be mistaken. I found one called like 1910 or 1919 root beer. That one was really good. But there's only one shitty liquor store that sold it. Yeah, A&W is good. It's better when you get it from the restaurant because it comes in on draft, and usually they have a cold mug. I prefer the ice cold mug to ice in the root beer. I also prefer an ice cold margarita when I finish haunting. Original. You can keep your strawberry. So if you want to see updates of the yard haunt, you can always go to EG Scary on Facebook. And I've been posting updates on there. Because I had to take this sidetrack trip up north. It's supposed to open October 5th. It's going to be delayed slightly. Jello, I forget, do you have any Halloween props or do any yard haunt decorating or anything like that? I know Samhain does. Samhain has a YouTube channel where he showcases his display and such. Is it a Canadian thing, or you're just not into decorating? You just like scary shit. Samhain's building for the season. Jello's not into decorating, but he likes to watch. Well, if you love scary stuff, you know you're in the right place. Well, guys, it is starting to mist again, and I don't really feel like getting soaking wet. Would anybody hold it against me if I ended the stream? Yes, the weather's dreadfully amazing, but not really suitable for a campfire. Thank you, Samhain. Thank you, Jello. Well, on that happy note, thank you all for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Have the worst nightmares ever. And whatever you dream, I hope it gets you. Me love you long time. Good night, everyone.